I'm not gave up all hope, but it's dwindling. I got to tell you, it's dwindling. Boy, today do I have some exciting news. So if you've been following the last few videos, we've been incubating some of our goose eggs. I have a video out there where we gathered the eggs from under the goose, and in that video we candled them on day 10. Then I have another video where we candled the eggs on day 21. And basically what we had was on day 10 candling, we really only had one that we said was no good, and we set 19 total eggs, so 18 out of 19 gave us 95%. We knew that wouldn't carry on all the way through. Day 21 when we candled, we had 5 eggs here in the not good category. So that gave us 14 out of 19 eggs that basically were viable. Well, here we are. Today is day 28. And if you don't know, geese have a huge hatch range. So whereas chickens pretty much hatch on day 21, give or take a day, geese are like 28 to 35 days. So it complicates things a little bit because you don't know when to go into lockdown. The lockdown means you take them out of the turner, you set them flat on the floor of the incubator, you increase the humidity, and you shut the lid on the incubator and you don't open it. With chickens, you do that 3 days before hatch. Well, 3 days before 28 to 35 days could be whatever. So anyways, today's day 28. And we came home from work today and we have a pip in one of our eggs. And a pip means a chicken or a goose or a duck or whatever has poked a hole in an egg in an effort to get ready and come out. Now they rest after they do that. So anyways, right there's a pip. I hope you can see that good on the camera. I have not seen any more pips. What I decided I was going to do in doing some research was I was going to wait till I saw the first pip and then I was going to put this incubator into lockdown. So right now I'm going to take all these eggs out of the turner, I'm going to increase the humidity and basically wait for them to hatch. So I'm going to try to be somewhat quick when I do this, but we're going to take the turner out, put the eggs flat on the surface, and we're going to refill with water. And we're going to add an additional water trough in there as well to increase the humidity. So let's do it.
Up on the mountain, down on the farm, living each day in my country charm. Ain't no other place I'd rather be. Life on the farm is the only life for me. Shenandoah River and the Blue Ridge Pine, heading down the valley on an old skyline. Ain't no other place I'd rather be. Life in the valley is the only life for me.
There's the pipped egg, guys. Hopefully you can see it pretty good. Put them down back in there. Eggs are down, water troughs are filled up. Last thing we got to do is put the lid back on. I will leave this alone for now. I'll let the humidity come up and I will update you guys throughout this process and continue this video. We're on day 30 right now, so 2 days later, and I don't know, I'm kind of reaching that point where I'm second guessing, did we do everything right? What's kind of happening? Is this hatch gonna be a bust? All that kind of stuff. The egg that was pipped is right there. And he started to zip. I don't know if this will focus here. He pipped here and he started to zip all the way around, and he's down, way down there. And it's been like that for since it's nighttime now. It's been like that since since this morning. It doesn't look good either. I mean, it kind of looks like he's not with us anymore. And I was looking, I mean, I was like, is it the humidity or what? But I mean, our humidity is 64%. Everything is good. So I don't know. There's only one other thing that could be at least, you know, a nice thing yet still, is maybe it's just too early. Maybe this guy was just super oddly early. He was day 28. I don't even have a pip from any of the other eggs. And we had all these eggs. Well, not all of them in here, but 14 out of 19 eggs were quote good when we candled them. So I find it hard to believe none of them are gonna pip or anything like that. So I'm kind of thinking it's just still too early. And when you get on the internet, we're on day 30 now. A lot of people say they don't even start doing anything until day 30. And again, it can take up to day 35. And a lot of people say their geese go to day 32. Maybe there's something weird going on with this guy. He is from the new Goose, so it's a smaller egg. And they say the larger the goose, the longer it takes them to hatch. So these bigger eggs could take longer to hatch. So anyways, I'll update y'all when I start seeing some more action. But again, this is the end of day 30 right here. Well, here we are. We just started day 34, and I wish I had good news to share, but I don't. I don't really have any news. That's why there hasn't been any live streaming. That's why there hasn't been any more updates or anything. Last time I checked in with you, we were at day 30, and the one chick was in there that I thought had basically passed away. He had pipped on like day 28 or something. And anyways, he's not in there anymore. He was over here, and I took him out. The reason I don't help chicks, and this is just personal opinion, personal preference, everybody will be different, but typically I've found if they're not strong enough to hatch by themselves, they're not really gonna make strong chicks in the future. They might have a decreased lifespan. They might not lay eggs if they're chickens and that's what you're looking for, that kind of thing. And we need stuff to be robust because they free range around here. But anyways, I opened that egg up and the chick looked fully formed. I have a picture, I don't really want to post it, but the chick was fully formed. His yolk just wasn't fully absorbed. I mean, it was basically all the way out of his navel of his stomach. I will say, they say geese take up to 35 days. We're on day 34. Some people even say day 37, I've heard. But I come down here every night and I listen, and I'll just sit down here and listen. And last night, I heard 2 loud chirps coming out of this incubator. I've not gave up all hope, but it's dwindling. I gotta tell you, it's dwindling. So what I think I'm gonna do tonight, I don't really want to because the eggs are in lockdown, which means you don't open the incubator, that kind of thing. But I think what I'm gonna do is candle a few eggs and just kind of see what we have going on. Because if you recall, 14 out of 19 of these eggs candled good. They were growing, all that. Obviously we didn't expect that many to hatch, but to not get a single pip besides the one is just, I've never been skunked with hatching, like ever. So I'm not sure what's going on here. So let me candle these and we'll kind of find out maybe something, we'll see. So here goes nothing. I'm gonna grab eggs 8, 9, and 11 because the number where I wrote 8, 9, and 11 was facing up on those. So when I place it back in, I will know to put the number up to not get the chick disoriented. And 8, 9, and 11 was showing good on all the candlings. Let's see, try to be sort of quick about this, I guess. Here's 8, put that back on. The air sac almost looks smaller than it did when we candled at day 21, which was the last candling. Interesting. Not sure on that one, guys. Let's look at egg 9. And that air sac looks better, but I don't see anything internally pipped into the membrane there. Well, I don't see any movement on that one, and I don't see an internal pip. Interesting. 8, 9, and then 11 was this one. I don't know, guys. I don't see anything moving or anything. Let's see if we can find another one. All right, egg 6. I tell you guys, I'm just not seeing any movement or pipping or chirping or anything. It's just so interesting to me. I mean, look at the egg. It obviously developed fairly well. What would cause 13 eggs to just stop at this point? All right, guys, well, I don't really know how to take what I just saw. I mean, obviously the eggs had grown to where it was basically black all in the egg. The air cells looked okay. If anything, to me, the air cells looked a little small, which means my humidity was probably a little too high throughout the hatch. But other than that, I mean, I can't imagine, you know, I've had improper humidities before, and, you know, it doesn't just totally skunk you. So, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. We'll see. So, we just started day 34. I'll keep them running and kind of see what we got, and I'll check up with you here in a little bit. All right, so like on this egg right here, you can see the air sac, and then you can see the beak has punctured up through the air cell, which is classic internal pipping. I wanted to say, even though we might have got skunked on our incubating, the geese went broody right after we put our eggs in the incubator. And I noticed actually yesterday, but I couldn't get a shot, but we have at least one baby goose under there. And there you go. Look how protective they are. And I don't really know how many more. And if you're wondering why we didn't just not incubate at all and just let these guys take care of the incubating for us, the reason is we found over the years that these geese will lay, like these specific geese will lay like 30 or 40 eggs and then go broody. And the problem with that is the first like 20 eggs that were laid are too old to really be any good. So that's number one. Number two, they can't really set on 30 or 40 eggs and provide even heat and everything. So we just said we would incubate like the first batch, and then we would let them go broody on the rest of the eggs. So here we are on day 37 or 38. I've lost count, but geese have, like I say, that 28 to 35 day range. You know, I have heard of some going 37 to 40 days if your temperature is a little off or whatever. So anyways, we're pretty much, I'm calling it here. We had an unsuccessful hatch. I mean, that's what it was. And you know what? That's life, you know? We, you know, you have ups and downs, you know, on the homestead. You have good hay yields. You don't have good hay yields. You have breakdowns. You have stuff at your job or whatever the case is. You have ups and downs, and the only thing you can really do is learn from them. So basically, I don't really know what happened here. If you think you know, put it in the comments, because we're going to be incubating goose eggs again. But definitely they're harder to hatch than chickens. I mean, we've hatched everything. Chickens, quail, I believe guineas, ducks, all of that. I mean, I have never just had something awful like this happen. And I don't really know. I think it was one of those things where it was a catastrophic event, but I think it was kind of easily fixable. So I don't think it was the temperature. I mean, this thing holds a tight temperature. I calibrated it with another thermometer that's accurate. They're all dead on. The humidity was basically dead on the whole time. I mean, didn't have any spikes or anything with that. The only thing, I mean, I could really say is we did not cool and mist the eggs. And what that means is after, I forget what day it is, but after a certain amount of days, you take the lid off the incubator, you cool the eggs down for so many minutes. And this is for geese. I mean, this is geese specific. And then you mist them with water and put the top back on the incubator. It's supposed to mimic the mother goose. Like, she got off the nest, she went to a pond or whatever, she went to go eat for a few minutes, she comes back, her breast is wet, and she hops on the eggs. That's what it's supposed to mimic. But, you know, it's like anything with hatching. I mean, there's some people do it and some people don't. You know, it's kind of like some people dry hatch and some people don't dry hatch. So it's hard for me to believe that that was the reason. The other thing is, our geese that went broody, and you saw they had some goslings, they don't have access to a pond. So they're not getting their breast feathers wet and coming back to the nest and all that. So I'm not saying that doesn't help, but, you know, the control basically was able to hatch goslings without that. The thing I'm pointing at now, so when I candled these, the last time I candled them, there were several eggs that were internally pipped, and that was it. And what that means is you have the egg and you have that air cell. Well, the gosling sticks its beak up through that membrane, and that's when they start breathing oxygen and so forth. And then they'll rest, and then they'll externally pip in the shell of the egg. So we had several internally pipped through that membrane. I mean, you can see it on the candling. And then they just didn't make it. So I don't know if we had a ventilation issue. I mean, the manual, I didn't get super into this, guys, with like doing all the crazy things and everything. I read the manual for the incubator because it had been 10 years since I've used it. But the manual says don't really remove this red plug unless you're over X amount of elevation. I think it's like 6,000 foot of elevation. Or you need to dry chicks off faster that are in there. But this thing has, I'm not saying this wasn't the case. I'm still kind of pointing to ventilation. But there's all kinds of holes on the bottom of this incubator, all the way down through. There's all kinds of holes down there. So it's not like this thing is locked up tight. So I'm not sure what happened. The other thing is, it could be things somewhat out of my control. It could be the genetics of the geese we have. Like I said, they've never really had, one of the big reasons we've decided to incubate our geese was because they didn't have good hatch rates when they were broody. And if I knew how many eggs were out there now, they're still broody. So you saw the one chick, but they're still broody. I would love to sit here and tell you they hatched X amount out of X amount, because usually it's not very good. You know, it could be something with like the genetics of our geese. It could be geese in general. It could be these were the first eggs like of the year, and they say those aren't as viable. So there's all kind of things. I'm not exactly sure what went wrong, but I want to learn from it and I want to move on. I think next time I will open the ventilation up and I will do the cooling and misting. I think I'll definitely do that process. But other than that, you know, I want to say I'm glad that y'all joined me for the journey. You know, I wish we had a better outcome. I wish I was able to live stream and show you all these little goslings running around and everything, but that's not always the reality. You know, especially life on a farm or a homestead. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the series. Even though it wasn't super positive, I will put some videos up here that I think you might enjoy. If you decide to watch them, I'll meet you over there. I want to say thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you next time.